Gerald Genta is the most legendary watch designer in history in my mind. He's the mastermind behind the Royal Oak, the Nautilus, the Ingenieur, and many more iconic timepieces we know today. But with his influence spanning so many brands, did Genta really design all the watches people credit him for? Not quite. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Roman Sharf. I've been in the watch business over 20 years, here to share my experiences, my stories, as well as some knowledge with you guys. Let's jump into the video. A lot of people mistake watches for Genta designs because of how many brands and models his name has been attached to. The myth honestly has outgrown the reality. I'm gonna jump into the first watch that people often say, oh, that looks like a Genta design, and that is the Rolex Oyster Quartz, the model 1530 and model 1630, just to use an example. Now, these were released in 1974. Rolex's way to fight the big demon, Seiko, 1969, the quartz crisis, right? The real designers, it's attributed to Rolex staff. It's not attributed to one single person. As I mentioned earlier, both of those appears back in 1974 with integrated bracelets and more angular cases. Now, the designs were likely intended for Rolex's then new thermocompensated quartz movements, but developing the quartz movements took years longer than anticipated as Rolex stuck automatic movements in them. In the meantime, rare find, by the way, if you ever come across one of those. Now, it does have those Audemars Piguet Royal Oak vibes, but keep in mind, Rolex were the ones who made the integrated bracelet luxury watch with a sapphire crystal first. It was with Kim Midas back in 1969. Genta had nothing to do with the 1530 or the 1630 Oyster Quartz or any other Rolex Oyster model. I have only designed one Rolex model. This is a Genta quote from an interview with Konstantin Staikas. As much as you may think Oyster Quartz had something to do with Genta, it did not. Next, and I think this is the most common watch that's mistaken, Gerard Lariato. That debuted back in 1975, which was a great year. A wonderful man was born that year, me. Of course, the real designer was Adolfo Nazzolini, who was actually more of an architect than a watch designer, but that's a whole other different story, right? Also, for all you guys that are saying, oh, look at Lariato coming out with these models looking like the Nautilus. No, Nautilus came out in 1976, so this came actually first. The first clear-cut Royal Oak competitor to have a quartz movement was the Gerard Lariato in 1975. It released just 3 years after the Royal Oak. People often misattributed this watch to Gerald Genta because everybody was jumping on that sports luxury watch bandwagon. The original name of the watch was simply chronometric quartz, while Lariato was a nickname. Let's talk about Vashron, 1977. You see in a pattern here, Royal Oak, Lariato, Vashron 222, released in 1977. The real designer, Jörg Heisig. Now, when Vashron announced the 222 model early in 2025, it got a lot of attention, right? Everybody was like, oh my God, I want this watch. A gold version was released years earlier, and both are aesthetically faithful recreations of the original 37mm 1977 model designed by Jörg Heisig. It was a pivotal release for the brand at the height of the quartz crisis. Now, because of its iconic sports watch from one of the world's top luxury watch brands, it having an integrated bracelet, while that's enough for people to often say, oh, Genta, he did the other two brands from the Holy Trinity, AP and Patek Philippe, why wouldn't he do Vashron? And that's why you often hear Genta's name mentioned when people talk about Vashron 222, but no, give credit to Jörg Heisig. Bulgary Octa, year release, 2008. The real designer, Fabrizio Bonamassa Stigliani, and some of the Bulgari staff. The Bulgari Octa is probably the #1 watch most frequently misattributed to Genta. Obviously, Genta is known for the octagonal themes in his work. Plus, the Octa was, in fact, first released under the Genta brand name, which Bulgari then owned in 2008. But Genta's involvement in the brand had ended around 2000. Interestingly, Bulgari tried writing both Bulgari and Gerald Genta on the Octa dial, but by 2012, they decided to make the Octa fully belong to the Bulgari brand. Obviously, design does reflect a lot of the Octa stuff that Genta has done in the past, but this particular one is a Bulgari design. And another one, and we're talking about the Pia Polo. Now, this was released back in 1979 by Yves Piaget and some of the Piaget staff. Now, when we give credit to a designer, often they don't work alone, especially when you're talking about a big company, right? Again, the original Polo emerged as another response to the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak from 1972, and then now the Patek Philippe Nautilus in 1976, that sort of dominated the mechanical luxury sports watch landscape at the time. Gerald Genta did actually work with Piaget and designed the TV case watch for them. He actually offered him the Nautilus before he offered it to Patek Philippe, and Piaget turned him down. It was when Patek Philippe reached out to him and said, we're looking for a sports luxury watch. He literally pulled that out of his drawer, showed it to them, and instead of that watch saying Piaget across the top, it said Patek Philippe. I'm pretty sure Piaget is still biting their elbows over that one. So guys, there you have it. 5 watches that you may have mistaken for a Genta design. I would love for you to comment below and see if I did get you one of these and you assume one of these to be a Genta design. Other than that, as always, I ask you like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.